The looking glass is an ancient art technique known as scrying. This technique reveals the blueprint of your soul.
Jesus wants to talk to us. Although this is an individual reading for Shaheen, this is also for the collective. So if you're here, you're meant to hear what Jesus has to say. We're going to look at the symbologies of Jesus, and we're going to understand the communication of Christ. Christ is saying yes. There was a Christ who came here and died on the cross. As above, so below. But as below, so above. The action of dying on the cross changed humanity, changed the world, so that we no longer have to die on the cross ourselves. We can now heal the 7 wounds of Christ by healing our 7 chakras. We do not have to have 7 physical wounds. We now heal the 7 chakras through the 7 spirits of God. So this healing is more invisible now than what it was prior to the Christ changing the stars through his actions. So here's Christ on the cross looking east toward a reptilian at 5 o'clock. There is a knife cutting him. This knife cutting him opened a doorway and a star comes out. There are living waters pouring from his heart, and these living waters opened a portal. The person above the knife is dead and yet is alive with a rainbow light body and opened a portal. The 2 other male energies that were on the cross next to the Christ reflects the triple flame and reflects the Trinity. But they also reflect our DNA. Notice the mask at 11 o'clock. There are 2 fish as the eyes going in different directions, and this reflects leaving the age of Pisces and going to the age of Aquarius. The individual is reading a new book, and this new book is a New Testament. It is a new way of our ascension. Now we can ascend and transform our body into the rainbow light body. The bumblebee below the left hand of Christ is the sound of God. The bumblebee, according to ancient writings, say that that was the original sound of God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So God is frequency and sound that changes things. Everything is created through sound. Below the bumblebee is rain coming from a cloud. The rain with the cloud and the light or the sun of the bumblebee makes a rainbow. And Christ said, I am the living waters. He walked on water. So God is sound, Christ is water. You are in a world surrounded by sound. Your thoughts are sound, and you have a voice that can emit a sound. Your body is also made up of 80% water. Your brain is 88% water. So you already have God and Christ within you and outside of yourself, but it has to be activated. And this activation happens in divine timing. We are called at a certain precipice in our lives, and we heed to that calling, and we begin to hear a voice that leads us through secret doorways like a portal. The threefold flame that is on the lioness is about love and compassion, the pink color. The blue is about the will and the power of God. And the golden color reflects wisdom. But it's more than this. It is about the 3 crosses, the threefold flame, and it is about the Trinity. It is also about our DNA and the miraculous ability of our spirit to merge with other spirits, as if we have 3 souls. Like an embryo that doubles and quadruples, our soul has an unseen ability. And this unseen ability is the ability to double and even quadruple. The heart chakra is at 12 o'clock with a crown. The crown has many meanings, and the heart chakra is directly connected to the sun. As our heart chakra begins to activate through frequency, water, sound, knowledge, wisdom, love, compassion, forgiveness, it emits an electromagnetic energy. And this electromagnetic energy connects to the electromagnetic energy emitted from the sun. You cannot get to the Father except through the sun. And the sun can only be accessed through the heart chakra, not the ego or the mind. Watch this video that I made on TikTok, and this is about a time in our lives where we are on the cross and we are taking on the sins of the world. We don't realize that we are shedding a self that was carbon copied from a matrix. We are now beginning to grow our soul and merge ourselves into our true form and the mirror of that true face. Not the matrix face, not the face our parents told us we were, but the face of our divinity and our crown and our glory. Merging flesh with spirit, male with female, the sun with the moon, and the Trinity, the earth, sun, and moon.
What does it mean to take on the sins of this world? The allegory of the Christ on the cross or the hanged man is a spiritual time in our lives. The ignorant scarecrow on the cross does not know what to think, and so it adopts the thoughts of others. The scarecrow does not know who he is. The scarecrow became a false human, a carbon copy of a matrix system, and not the mind of divine source. When we are resurrected or reborn, we are connected to a higher self, which helps us find our true thoughts and feelings.
And this rebirth is like a death. We die of who we thought we were in order to step into our true self. We say goodbye to what once was, as who we were was connected to a system which no longer serves spirit.
We will then be brought into a school of mastery where we submit our will to the will of God, our higher self. And this mastery does not come from the flesh, it comes from spirit. Forgiveness is not always a kind act. Remember what I said. If you do not hate your brother, your mother, your sister, even your own life, you cannot follow me. Dying on the cross is dying of an old paradigm which no longer serves spirit, and this includes dying of self and dying of old relationships.
We cut off the head of the ego.
Off with your head!
And we become the Queen of Hearts, opening our heart chakra.
The heart chakra beats to a different drum than that of the mind.
When someone's negative energy tries to come upon you, you just simply say, "Be gone before a house drops on your head."
I'll get you one day, my pretty.
Hi, Wicked Witch. Let's have a talk. How's being a reptilian working out for you?
Well, I like to control people.
Listen, Wicked Witch, your heart chakra is totally blocked.
Oh, would you like to open my heart chakra?
The answer, mind-controlling, shape-shifting reptilian, is no.
Well, shit. And when we disconnect from the mind of the matrix, we reconnect our hearts to divine source. But that's impossible. Wake up, Bastion. I am your twin flame.
Bastion, open your heart. Call out my name. People are so afraid of death that they worship Jesus outside of themselves, in a church outside of themselves, not realizing that our holy temple is our body and our actions are a prayer. Even Jesus said, "Don't pray in public, and you worship me, but your heart is far from me." It's the allegory of the resurrection is birthing your double, according to shamans. And this is what being born again truly means. Your soul doubles like an embryo. And when your soul doubles through the activation of frequency and water and your DNA, it happens naturally, unless you are deceived or diverted and your attention is looking at the reptilian instead of looking up at the sun or the heart chakra. The reptilian is the one who is cutting the Christ, and cutting off the body of Christ is cutting the Christ power within us. The threefold flame, let's talk about love and compassion. This is the pink color. I find this one to not really be about love and compassion. This is about the ruthless act of forgiving. It's dying before we die. We kill who we thought we were and the people attached to that self. Because Jesus said, if you don't hate your brother, your mother, your sister, even your own life, you can't follow. Why? Because we are living in an illusion matrix that told us things that weren't true. To see our true face is the mask and the mirror, and this is why we see a mask and a mirror in your peace. The ruthless act of forgiveness is a cleaning process. Like a tornado that destroys everything in its path, it is destructive like a dragon. It will destroy self-importance, our ego, and even most of our relationships with family and friends. It will take us to a place of nothing, and we will feel like it is a death. The blue flame reflects the will or the power of God. This is the divination wand, divining the voice of God and following it. This divine order will lead us to joy, everlasting life, power, and knowledge. It's the most beautiful blue flame ever. I love it. And it directly correlates to the strength and stamina of the physical body. People with a tall blue plume, they tend to have more physical energy and have more of a mechanical intelligence. And the gold flame is about knowledge and wisdom. We must persist in all efforts when it comes to alchemy, symbology, and knowledge. We will steer away from being judgmental and discriminating because we realize that people come into our lives in divine order. This is the dog. It's the divine order of God. It comes from Sirius B, the dog star, which is outside of ourselves, but it's also within us. Just as our heart chakra is the sun within us. And so as above, so below. So the Christ that did die at one point, but then turned into an allegory that is really a reflection of our 7 chakras and the number 33, which is on Christ's arm, the Kundalini awakening. Now, I'm going to show you a video about the rainbow light body and also going to talk to you about the swastika and how it was the original Ezekiel's wheel, because there are 4 spirals of the galaxy. These 4 spirals are the 1111. It's a gateway, and it's like we bounce our consciousness from one spiral of reality to the other. So thank goodness we don't literally have to be nailed to a cross and be whipped in the literal world. We can now work on our spiritual enlightenment and bringing full light, transforming from lead to gold, from the moon to the sun. And because when we are full of light and enlightenment, the dark ones cannot see us or detain us. And there seems to be something about, you have the letter HE on your second piece, and this is helium, that our soul is made of helium. This is why it goes up. And there seems to be some sort of connection to quantum mechanics and accelerators needing helium and that we are harvested for helium. And if we don't want to be harvested, we must fill ourselves up with such light and enlightenment that we bounce out of this reality and go to a reality where we are not being harvested. I'm not saying that that's true. I'm saying that that's what it looks like, but I don't know for sure. The lioness is your new spirit guide right now, and this is about your head chakra and your crown, the corona crown. This is telling us that if we think on people who are in the lower realms, still connected to the ego and the matrix, they will infect us like a virus. While we are in this cocoon nothing place, birthing our double and connecting to heavenly realms and the downloads and the information they give us, it's not okay at this time to connect with people in the lower realm. Because seek first the kingdom of God right now is what you're being told. This is what the corona crown is letting us know at this time. So notice that the Christ isn't wearing a crown. It's a crown of thorns. This means it is being prepared for the true crown. So how many crowns do we see? 3. These 3 crowns are reflective of the threefold flames, and that your DNA is being upgraded, and that you are doubling and tripling your soul. Larger. It's getting larger. And then at 11 o'clock, the person isn't wearing a crown. It is taking a mask off. This is seeing their authentic face and learning about their true origin and their true self. The knife is also reflective of cutting off the reptilian matrix world and not looking at it any longer. The living waters that pours waters on the head of Christ cleanses the wounds in preparation for the crown. Watch this following video because activating our rainbow light body takes work, and it takes work when it comes to frequency and sound, what we eat and what we do. This is the next step when we move past the cross and the dying of an old self, and by extension, an old matrix world.
Things you might learn is actually about auras. In New Age circles, auras are usually thought to be a kind of energy that emits from your body and follows the same frequency pattern as the chakras, where the root is the smallest body, the physical form, and then the sacral body, solar body, heart body, and so on radiate outwardly around you. Many people claim to see auras, and there are actually techniques that may help you to do so, including unfocusing your eyes on a person or even just putting a hand in front of a black screen. It's not uncommon to see either a colored or white glow around the object of your focus. The aura system mirrors the chakra system almost identically because in a way, it's part of the same system. The aura reflects your energy body on the outside, just as your chakras reflect your energy body on the inside. However, both of these systems weave together to create the human light body. Much like how when you put the 7 colors together in light, you get pure white light. The thing is, there are actually many different types of light bodies, reflecting different geometries that can be necessary for different purposes. The most commonly discussed one is the star tetrahedron, but you can have a light body based on any of the platonic solids. And then there is even the Covenant 486 Merkaba, which is said to be the root of the Tree of Life system itself, and which we explore in our Spirit Medicine Walkers workshop at the end, for those who are interested. For the purposes of simplicity, today we're going to be exploring the original Merkaba that we learned, which is a great place to get started. But before we jump into anything else, there's something we must know. No matter how much you try to understand the light body, Merkabas, and chakras through the sacred geometry and logical explanations, it will never be enough on its own. As Drunvalo has explained, there is a missing half of our understanding that is purely experiential and can only be experienced through your own practice when centered with love. As we understand it, the Merkaba is the divine light vehicle used by ascended masters to connect with and reach the higher realms. It is the full extent of our energetic and subtle body that when fully active encompasses our whole self and can stretch out to anywhere between 55 and 72 feet. This particular one is based on the blueprints of Metatron's cube and the tetrahedral energy field, taking the shape of 2 counter-rotating tetrahedrons spinning around the body in line with the chakras up the spine as the axis. And though while it may look like there's only 2 star tetrahedrons, there's actually 3, but the third is overlaid onto the others and is often forgotten about in the meditations. The Merkaba is an extension of our energy field. or our collective energy field, that acts as a vehicle which allows us to move through the different dimensions and frequencies all around us. The word itself actually comes from the Hebrew word that means chariot or cart, and forms a huge part of Ezekiel's vision in the tradition of Merkaba mysticism. In the book of Ezekiel, the Merkaba is used to refer to the throne chariot of God, the four-wheeled vehicle driven by 4 cherubim, each of which has 4 wings and 4 faces, of a man, lion, ox, and eagle, often which are esoterically seen as reflections of the 4 elements. For the most part, the teachings of the Merkaba mysteries revolved around the visions of the prophet, which were centered around stories of ascension and people transcending the physical world into the realm of God. Some writers have even argued that early Christian theology and discourse was influenced by the Jewish Merkaba tradition to some extent. In fact, some see the accounts of St. Paul, who has been argued to be influenced by Gnosticism, to be one of the earliest first accounts that we have of a Merkaba mystic in Jewish or Christian literature. Throughout Kabbalistic history though, discussions concerning the Merkaba were limited to only the most worthy sages, as it was considered overzealous to ponder on the nature of higher worlds and what they looked like. In more modern teachings, Melchizedek tells us that the Merkaba can be recreated through conscious breathing and meditations in as little as 18 breaths. The first 6 are for balancing the polarity, the next 7 are for proper pranic flow through the entire body, and the final breaths are from shifting the consciousness from 3rd to 4th dimension. And then finally, the last 3 breaths are for recreating the rotating Merkaba within and around the body. The meditation has a lot of parts though, and while we may animate it one day, if you want to walk through, you can check out Drunvalo Melchizedek's Flower of Life, Volume 2. Ultimately, the first step to creating and remembering your Merkaba is always love. And even Melchizedek explains that a lot of people don't need all of the left brain steps because the right brain, the experience of love, is enough to activate it naturally. To be clear, there are different kinds of Merkabas out there, absolutely. In fact, in one particular plant medicine ceremony at Rhythmia, Thoth appeared in my inner vision and shared with me a different Merkaba than I'd ever seen before. It was octagonal in nature, surrounding my body with a 3-stranded DNA helix spiraling through it, and a tremendous volume of rainbow particles shooting out of the bottom and rising up to the top. Wild stuff. That said, I know we talk about the importance of love in this kind of stuff a lot, but it really is the most vital part. Love and connection are the very life and heart of the Merkaba and light body that supports the chakras, as love is said to be the frequency of creation itself. To that end, the Merkaba isn't just a tool or some aspect of you, it is alive and fully a part of you. It's no different than how you have a nose or an arm. The Merkaba light body is what lays the blueprints for the nadis and the axiotonal lines that we've talked about before. It literally is the lines that allow the prana, chi, and energy to flow back into you and out into the universe. Our Merkaba is our connection to the divine. It's what links us to each other and the universe itself. So how does the Merkaba light body relate to the chakras exactly? Well, the 8 chakras that run through our spine actually have duplicates in the space around our body, inside the extended Merkabic field. They're said to look like spheres of energy that vary in size depending on your own size and height, the same as the Merkaba itself. Like the energetic flow system mentioned earlier, they're laid out in the blueprint of Metatron's cube. Each sphere sits on the edge or point of a tetrahedron and are kind of like our chakras twins. And Melchizedek said he was actually able to find a record of them using a molecular emission scanner. So when it comes down to it, you can think of our spiritual structure like this. First, there is the energy flow through the chakras, which is facilitated by the nadis when we breathe in and out. From there, the meridian points and lesser chakras reach every cell in the body. On top of that, we have the prana field, which is very close to the body and is generated by the flow of energy through the chakras. Going up in layers, on top of the pranic field, we have the auric field that extends a few feet around us in every direction and is generated by our thoughts and emotions and energy all working together. This is the realm of the dream time and something that we'll talk about in great detail later on. Guiding and protecting our auric field is another energy field in the shape of the egg of life, the original shape of creation. Once you get past that, you start to get into the realms of light and geometry, and our energy takes on a much more geometric nature that can be influenced by our consciousness. Herein we find the light body, yet these geometries are overlaid across and through all of our lesser systems, much like how streams branching off from a river will be like a smaller fractal of the greater body from which it comes. When you bridge your newly mastered lower centers with the previously unknown higher centers, and when
locate their frequencies, he also claimed he discovered the virus responsible for cancer. Using resonance, or what he termed the mortal oscillatory rate of the virus, he was able to kill it in laboratory experiments over and over and over. He completed hundreds of experiments on tumors in rats purposefully infected with the isolated cancer virus before ever attempting to use these frequencies on people. In 1934, he famously tested out his device on 16 terminally ill cancer patients. Out of 16, 14 of them, all but 2, were certified medically cured in just 3 months. Of his treatment, Rife would later write, "With the frequency instrument treatment, no tissue is destroyed, no pain is felt, no noise is audible, and no sensation is noticed. A tube lights up and 3 minutes later the treatment's completed. The virus or bacteria is destroyed, and the body then recovers itself naturally from the toxic effect of the virus or bacteria. Several diseases may be treated simultaneously."
All right, so to completely heal the 7 wounds of Christ, in order to resurrect and get off the cross and taking on the sins of the world and the mind of the matrix, we have to think in terms of formlessness, and this is sound. So we're going to activate your water within your body. Notice the different pieces. There's actually an 8th color to the rainbow and an 8th flame that is invisible. This is why Sirius B, there are 3 stars, and one of the stars is invisible. And this invisible star is a spirit that births within us. And it's a God energy, the dog, that energizes and comes alive within our DNA, our mind, and our heart, individually and collectively. Each frequency creates a mandala, or an Ezekiel's wheel. The root chakra should be at 852 hertz. Then from there we go to 285 hertz, 528 hertz, 741 hertz, 174 hertz, 417 hertz, 539 hertz, 963 hertz, and then 396 hertz. Tesla says, if you want to know the truth or the power of all things, think in terms of frequency. Boy, is that true. Now I really want an Etch-a-Sketch and start creating these mandalas again. Since you're made of mostly water, when sound hits water, it creates a particular form. Your brain is 88% water, so the thoughts that you think create a particular shape to the water around your brain. When the Christ left for 40 days and fasted, we realized that our holy temple must be activated at a certain time of our lives. And this is what is happening with you. You are on this stairway that looks like a cross. Some people make it to the halfway point and then they fall off. Some people actually make it to the Merkaba and the chariot's wheel at the top. Some people transform from lead to gold and adopt a rainbow light body, and some people fail because of religious dogmas or beliefs or emotions. Some people fail because of food. They drink alcohol or they take drugs that reflect depression, and they don't partake in life energy. Life begins at 70 hertz. This shape is 432 hertz frequency. Death begins at 25 hertz. So soda is death, water is life. Even clothing has a frequency. So the swastika that is on the Christ has an ancient meaning that's connected to Odin. They said Odin looked like a swastika through the sky, through the universe. But really, it's about the 4 spirals. And the 4 spirals are the 4 arms of the galaxy. There are 4 spirals in the galaxy. And as above, so below. These 4 spirals are within your body, and it is within your mind. And when there is an alignment of the planet, something aligns within the body, and suddenly you pop out from under the ground like a rose or a flower, and ta-da, you see the sun, and you feel this light that you had not seen before. The dark underworld that was full of ignorance and darkness is now being full of light and illumination. This sound is 963 hertz frequency. So we can see three main characters in your second piece: the female, the male, and the dragon. Dominating the dragon is kind of like the movie Avatar, when the male character looked at the female and said, "How do I connect with my dragon?" And she said, "It will try to kill you." So when we fight the dragon, it tries to kill our self-importance and our ego. And if we allow it to do so and we open the heart chakra, then we've actually dominated the dragon, and we've shifted something through frequency and through the activation of water, and changed something within us that actually shifts our very reality. So the male and the female must come together. The original form was both Adam and Eve. And when we see the spirit above you putting a crown on your head, this is about listening to that spirit, the holy dove above us that leads us in all ways and actually takes us to a collective consciousness where the snake is no longer eating its tail in a perpetual reincarnation process. It actually has the ability to bounce to a reality, a parallel reality, where there is no reincarnation. There is simply bouncing consciousness from a body to the next, maintaining memories of our prior existence or our prior life. Kind of like Dorothy bouncing from Kansas to Oz, where she remembered Kansas. The problem is we should never want to go back to Kansas. We should always expand and keep growing and allow ourselves to let that world go and let our old self go. Many people just can't do it. Frodo went to Mordor, and the Ring of Power is about the self that you were, letting it go and allowing ourselves to become Gandalf the White, going from Gandalf the gray moon, to Gandalf the white sun, becoming powerful. But to become powerful, like the Philosopher's Stone, you can't want power. You have to let self-importance go and simply follow a divine order of God. And this is the crowned man above your head. Notice the frequency sound by the crown. Your crown chakra, made of gold, is zzz. Can you hear the buzzing of the bee? The bee is the sound of God that makes the honey. And the honey is the gold color of your crown. The bee will sting you if you do not listen to it. And it will feed you life energy. Did you know that honey will actually increase your psychic abilities to become an oracle or a scryer? Yeah. So the Holy Grail that you're holding in your hand is eternal life. And when we become the Trinity, male, female, and spirit, we have suddenly become the Merkaba, the rainbow light body. And we have now understood time travel and Ezekiel's wheel. The 7 colors to the rainbow has an 8th color, and the 7th chakra has an 8th flame. And this 8th flame is eternal life, the infinity symbol. Notice you have the letter HE on your head. This is helium. And helium is supposedly what our soul is made up of. It's also connected to Helios, the god Helios. The female is wearing a crown. She reflects the holy dove, the female, and then you reflect Helios, the king. What a beautiful piece. And I encourage you to let your old self go. Let the world go. Let the matrix go, Neo. And as Neo Anderson left the matrix, he found his Trinity. And this is what you're going to do. Find your Trinity. Get into sacred geometry, alchemy, study symbolisms, and activate your rainbow body through frequency and sound. The Fibonacci sequence is 1.618, and this is the sequence of the golden ratio to the golden age of Aquarius. I encourage you also to listen to that sound. I will put a video here. And if you would like a reading, go to forestfairy.com. One thing that I meant to mention was the number 33 on the elbow of Christ. And this is not blocking the 33 vertebrae of your spine. and the Kundalini awakening, which is the snake, so that you become a collective consciousness and not stay in a prison of individualism and separatism. I will put what the numerology in Gematria reflects in the comments below.